Hello, hello, everybody. Happy Monday, September 15th. My name is Matheo Cadena, Type Thursday LA chapter lead, and I'm here with my friend.
Michael Mondragon, the Type Thursday Phoenix lead. So, what a pleasure to have you here today. We're looking forward to doing some more of these live streams and getting them a regular cadence of information and knowledge from two people who are pretty passionate about typography and graphic design. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, yes. As the chapter leads of Type Thursday in our cities, we love to talk about typography and geek out about all things typographic nerds. So
Yes,
let's dive in.
absolutely.
So on today's talk, we're the subject is visual storytelling, and Type Thursday Los Angeles and Type Thursday Phoenix. Here we go. We have some upcoming events happening for you guys. September 25th is going to be the Los Angeles chapter event at HMCT Art Center in Pasadena again.
Yeah. And how have those been going?
So far, they've been pretty good. Wonderful venue. They have a new auditorium space that's been gorgeous to host the event at, and the community there, a lot of type lovers in that area, which has been awesome.
That's great to hear. And then our event is the same night in Phoenix. We're at Dialogue. Yes, a part of Phoenix Design Week. Actually, it starts on Friday,
That's
Friday and
right.
Saturday at the convention center.
Phoenix Design
And
Week, shout out.
yeah, and they have other events that are not connected to the convention center. They're actually around the city, and we are lucky enough to be a part of that. We're on Thursday, September 25th. So we definitely want everybody to join us. So if you're in Phoenix or Los Angeles, get in the type community. We want you there.
Yeah, and Phoenix Design Week is where I met my friend Stefan Bucher, where I was talking to him recently this past Friday about visual storytelling as a designer and for your portfolio and to get your work out there, and especially in this market, there's a lot of landslide industries happening, but there's still work. There is still work out there, and it's all around how you present yourself and how you showcase your work. And the conversation was landed on a design challenge. It's a 30-day design challenge to sort of just make something in 30 minutes. So I told Stefan I'm going to try it out. I'm going to make something every day. 3 days in, I've made 3 things and really tried to just lean into using design to tell a story and be playful and have fun in the process, because this is how we learn. This is how we create. And all of that was inspired and happened. Originally, I met Stefan at the Phoenix Design Week in Arizona. So if you're in Arizona, check out Phoenix Design Week and definitely join Type Thursday Phoenix for some fun typographics nerdiness. Michael, will this be your first time at the Phoenix Design Week?
So crazy enough, like just growing up here, like I knew of it, and being in Los Angeles for the time that I was, again, I saw it all the time through AIGA. This actually is my first time I've ever been.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's
Yes.
I only started really getting serious about networking maybe like 10 years ago. So I feel so behind when it comes to that, but I would go to Adobe Max and stuff like that. I go to the big things, but I was like, for some reason I just never made it to the AIGA conferences or Phoenix Design Week, and I feel like I've missed a lot. Not only networking but also inspiration and being a part of the community. Yeah, and I'm now I crave it. Now I'm just like, why have I not gone? And so like I'm very excited about going to my first Phoenix Design Week and getting to know the community, especially since moving back to Phoenix a year ago.
Yeah, and I will say this from going out there and presenting in Type Thursday Phoenix myself at your at your first launch event, I met people who said to me afterwards that Michael Mondragon is a source of inspiration. So you too have been a source of inspiration in your local community. So you're not missing out. You're creating inspiration for others, and hopefully the Phoenix Design Week gets you charged up to share that inspiration more.
Thank you. Yeah, I moved about a year ago. My girlfriend's going to a master's nursing program, so yeah, so we moved back, and it's a triple digit, same as I remembered from before.
Yeah.
Triple digit
Arizona's
heat.
hot.
So yeah, it's
The
it's a
desert.
hot place, but it's there's some great inspiration here, and some great people, and I'm looking forward to contributing to the artistic community. And so thank you for those nice words, Matteo.
Of course, yeah. So let's dive into why visual storytelling matters. Michael, I think you have some notes and a couple slides here that will then launch me into my share.
Absolutely. So, we're talking about like visual storytelling and why it matters. And I saw a statistic. I'm not sure if it's accurate, but I'll just say it more on the base level that humans process visuals faster than they do text. Okay, so like if you were to consume a book, obviously it would take you a lot longer. But in this very fast-paced world, noisy world of social media, advertising, telling stories and telling them quickly and getting to the point is really important these days. And you're able to do it more, maybe 50 years ago, much different than now, obviously, because of all these innovations. But in a digital first world, the attention spans are short. So visual storytelling, cuts through all the noise. So when we're talking about this, like what are the core elements of a visual story? So
Mm,
if you think about it in a movie, TV show, soap opera, a person's life, it starts with a character, right? And whomever the story is about, and then the conflict. What is the challenge or the tension, right? What are some of the things that kind of builds the character, right? And right from wrong, and but what's the resolution? How do they resolve these things, or what are they fighting against? And then that creates a lot of emotion. So doing that in a very noisy environment, social media, even like print ads, you know, uh, doing that fast and having that being memorable is a huge challenge. So designing for impact. So whenever I'm talking to students or anybody that I'm mentoring, like I always say like clarity first. Make sure that your message, whatever you're trying to say, is instantly understood. And then comes in something we're passionate about, which is hierarchy and composition. So if it looks sloppy, if you're telling your story in a not cohesive way, then it becomes clunky and that message gets a little muddied. So using layout, color, typography is vital, for communication. But also consistency. Are the things that you're making, are they consistent with your brand? And you can go outside of things once you're established and start, making inroads. But if you're creating something and people don't know who you are, and then they don't remember you the next time you do something, you're not creating that consistency. But also, and this is super tough for a lot of beginning designers to kind of understand at first, and even for seasoned designers, sometimes you don't see this. It's simplicity.
yeah.
So it's not about decorating more, um, or what let me back up. It's actually a lot of people think that you have to put more into it or you have to decorate it, and sometimes it's easy as the slide that I have on my screen. It says exactly what I need to, and then I elaborate on top of it. So
Mm.
I'm going to stop there and get your feedback on what I've said already, Matteo.
Yeah, so I think something you touched on is the hero's journey, and in Los Angeles, where the world of entertainment, Hollywood, and script writing, the hero's journey is something that sells every movie and gone beyond the movies, and it's in every good ad campaign and marketing campaign I think that we've ever seen. So making sure that you're engaging your audience through, like you said, there's a conflict, there's some character growth and development, and a sort of resolution at the end. And there's an arc, right? There's a beginning, middle, and end things don't just all happen, all hit you all at once. There's a little bit of narrative. There's a little bit of build up to understand who this hero or subject is, and what is their journey and where are they from. So yeah, and I like you said, designing for impact and keeping things concise. And you don't need to add more to your designs. You can design with less. And I think that's always been something that I've strived to do. Is that famous quote is like, when is something done? It's like when you can no longer remove anything from the design is done. So
yes, and there's also a saying too. It's when is it done? Is when you abandon it. And so like you could keep on refining it. I heard one time a great quote that if the Eagles, the band the Eagles, if they had Pro Tools, that they would still be refining Hotel California instead of it being a one take. Yeah,
that's a good one, because you can go infinitely in all of these tools and software that we have nowadays. You can just keep going and keep refining.
That's
and
right.
I think we get stuck in those perfectionist loops where we just have to be like, nope, time to get off this and just share it out to the world.
That's right. And stop tweaking, because it's sometimes it doesn't need it anymore. And so that goes into storytelling across different formats. So I mean, a lot of social media now has become advertising, right? It's literally the place that people tell their stories, tell what they want and what they're doing and all these different things. So using bold visuals, using strong hooks, this all plays into that. And then even for presentations, less text and more visuals make the audience see the point differently, because it's us telling the stories. And in branding, for logos, packaging, and identities, or you want to be very concise. And if you've looked at any packaging, there's a lot of information on there. So how do you keep that not muddying up your branding or your message or what you're trying to sell, but also there's a requirement sometimes that the ingredients are on something, or what is, or some warnings, or even how to use it. So it has to be seamless. So I think you have an example of some things that you're working on that you want to show, right?
Yeah, basically extending on the point of storytelling across different formats, right? And Michael said it very well when he said that, social media now has become just a marketing platform for every brand. And why? Because so many people are spending their time on social media. So with that in mind, I wanted to do this 30-day design challenge that Stefan Bucher had prompted me to do. And his challenge to me was like, make something in 30 minutes and then share it. Like, don't hold on to the thing, like just put it in the world. And that was really hard. But I knew right away the tool that came to mind was Adobe Express. And I had created this entirely on my phone and for people viewing on their phones. So I'll play this right here. So we've got Meet the Great Horned Owl, the baddest bird in the galaxy. And then swoosh, he kind of jumps across the screen right there. And this was fun to make, and it was quick, and it was all done on my phone, which was, I was very impressed that I could do this on Adobe Express. Now, Adobe Express crashed quite a few times while trying to make this. So I did leave a comment to them in their little report. And I said, great, works great, but please make it crash less. And some cool things that I was able to do while on my phone is when I grab the text, I'm able to go and actually search through Adobe fonts inside of this on my phone and select a font that I've used in the past or a new font. And it gives you the preview, of course. And I've used in the past Afronaut. Afronaut, so well designed, so beautiful, a lot of cool accents in the body and the characters, like the T and the A really stand out to me. So I wanted to bring this design to life with a great typography, a great subject, which is the owl, and some great visuals, which to me were the nebula in the background. And another impressive thing I was able to do all within Adobe Express is I was able to search through Adobe Stock, filter by video, and then search for a keyword. And I love nebulas, which is when a star explodes. It's the birthplace of stars. And that once they explode, that dust goes everywhere and makes wonderful, beautiful patterns. And so for my message here, I felt that the nebula sort of like zooming into your viewer's eyes was going to sort of help get my message across. And so this was day one. Now let me show you day two, if I can get to the page. And so day two, I'm using the same font. I'm using the same idea of the nebula background and the same subject of Meet Mr. Owl, right? And this fun zoom out on an owl who's turning his head, and they can rotate their heads 360 degrees. They are an apex predator, the top of the food chain. This unique species eats everything from rats, snakes, and even other bird species. These predators go as far as to rob other birds of their houses and home by taking over their nest, making them the baddest bird in the galaxy, truly. So this was really fun to make. And the last piece here is, where does Mr. Owl come from? Because a lot of friends ask me, but to answer that question, we'll need to travel through space and time and go to a place called Earth. And there we find all across North America, these birds inhabit everywhere, even deserts, using anything they can. Other birds nest, caves, coves, and they nest anywhere and everywhere, breeding and spreading across this land. So the owl, the great horned owl specifically, apex predator, top of the chain, kind of tells my brand story of the owl being adaptable, being wise, being able to soar up high, look over the client's needs, come back down and sort of solve problems. And sort of that's the thinking behind the Mr. Owl and my design identity. So as my friends have asked me, what's the point behind the owl? As part of this 30-day challenge, I'm like, let me share a little bit about that, answering that question through visual storytelling and make it mobile friendly. And it's something that, we were able to do in Adobe Express is make it all on my phone. So all of these, except for the third one, I made on my desktop just to test the differences and the nuances of Adobe Express from mobile on the phone to the desktop. And then on desktop, I changed the dimensionality of the first design. So some of the elements were too small. So I had to scale up the typography. I had to make things bigger and once I changed it to that desktop size. And things look great. But when you first change to the desktop size, you'll notice right away all of your font sizes are too small. So for me, I went into grabbing the typography, going to edit. My font choice is already okay. The size is where I went, and I just basically doubled the sizes or about, right? And just made sure that everything's divisible by 8. So I use everything on an 8 base system just to have everything be proportional to each other. And with that, I thought this looked great, and I was able to sort of start moving on, and that I'll kind of leave it right there. Another cool feature I liked about Adobe Express that I don't see in every app is when you hit the ellipses or the more tool, you can actually adjust the letter spacing however you like. And in this case, I left it to 0, so it's most legible. Especially with a space and nebula in the background, it didn't need anything more. I was actually like, less is more in this case. The line spacing being at 1, I felt like was too loose, and being at a standard 1.2, I also felt like that was too loose. And something that Michael Stinson taught was like, if you have a heading and you're going large with the font and that heading, you can actually pull it tighter than, because sometimes the leading of a heading gets too loose. They get too far away from each other, so they don't feel like they're related or interconnected. And you don't want them running away from each other. You want the eyes to read that as one message. So I'd tighten up that line spacing, again, divisible by 896. And the paragraph spacing, I did not have to adjust on this one. And the same for the next line, just making sure that that line spacing is adjusted so it's a little bit tighter. And this, to me, gave me feeling like the typography was interconnected elements and helped me just tell the visual story across different platforms. So that's it, Michael, for me.
Yeah, the Adobe Express is great. And I wanted to address the mobile part of it. That's been one of the, unfortunately, the detriments of using Adobe Express on a tablet or on phone. that it's not quite there yet, which is unfortunate. But in a
getting better every day, I will say.
Getting better, absolutely. No,
Very surprised.
It's come a long way because I teach Adobe Express for education, so K through 12 teachers. And one of the things that I find is that a lot of the competitors, the typography isn't that great, and Adobe Express actually has a robust typography selection, and it's getting better. That's getting better every single day.
That's getting better.
Yeah, Adobe Fonts by itself has basically every font that you could ever want. And I've accumulated fonts over my career, and I've been using them, and a lot of them have become obsolete, like TrueType fonts and other ones. And I had to actually re-get them,
re-download them,
purchase them, and just because like OTF fonts now work seamlessly. But right, but when I look in Adobe fonts, like there's so many in here, and then you can use them in Express. It's even faster. So no, I admire that you've gotten in here and using Adobe Express to really make it faster for you to get your message out there and not have to really worry about it getting into After Effects or Premiere or something like that. So that's great.
Yeah, and if you've ever been in After Effects or Premiere, you know that when you open the software, the feature overwhelm is real. And you just get sort of very quickly overwhelmed by the friction of the user interface. And with Adobe Express, there can be some overwhelm, but it feels a lot more intuitive. I guess the way that things are visually laid out, I would say that they're easier to handle and understand. And Michael, you made a great point. The fact that you have access to Adobe fonts within this mobile creative tool makes it extremely powerful, because most of the competitors do not have one, good fonts, and two, the good editing for those fonts. Like the type features are missing, and you can't customize what's happening with the typography. I've seen a lot of mobile apps or even desktop apps where what you see is sort of what you get, and you're stuck with really bad typography, breaking the rules because the software is making the decisions for you. The thing I really liked about Adobe Express is I could, change the width and of these text boxes, and I could go, once that's changed, if I saw that the line spacing was too much, I could tighten that up. If I go too tight, they crash into each other. But what I love is I have the option here to do that with a slider, or if I want to type it in and get mathematical, and the base system of 8, I want to see what it looks like on a 8 leading, and I'm like 0.8 leading, and that's too tight. So I did the 0.96, which is just enough to read and breathe. And typing in there on mobile and on desktop works really well. And you can create a consistent layout that way once you know your font sizes. I always like to work with 80 and sort of work down from that as a heading size. And since I know that, I can set everything to 80. And then if this is too large for, let's say, what it looked like on this size, 80 was way too big. I had to go down to 64 because at 80 it cuts off the artboard space. So you've got to, Michael Since would always say, measure twice and cut once. And I think we said this before. And this is that your artboard, your dimensions you're working within, that's what you're measuring against. And your typeset, whatever your font size you use, that it needs to fit within that, as well as have enough margin from the left and from the right, because there's interface elements within every social media app that will cut or overlap with your typography elements. So you've got to also keep in mind designing with margins and padding, and the way that the typography lays out throughout the space. Now, again, Adobe Express for me was a great tool, because the first iteration of this, I did actually make it all on mobile and in 30 minutes, and got to edit all this typography and found my fonts that I liked and set up my typography rules all within Adobe Express on mobile. Published it, downloaded it, opened it in Instagram edits, and added like an audio file and shared it. And then on day 2, I took more time just to experiment and learn the tools and learn the timeline tool more, and what I could do with timeline and animations on typography. And it gives you a lot of different animation choices for your typography, which is really, really cool, because sometimes you select typography and you look at the animation and you don't have a lot of options. Here you get a lot of different options grouped by visibility, move, scale. And if you select different ones, you'll see how it's treated differently on the artboard. You get like a little preview. Works just as well on mobile. I was very impressed. Times where it crashed, it finally stabilized after a few crashes. And the good thing, every time it crashed, it saved all my changes. So at least they've gotten good about auto saves, so that if it did crash, I didn't lose any of my work. And once I had previewed all the different animation styles, then I knew which ones I wanted to sort of apply and play with. And so I sort of stuck with what I figured was safe at that time, and applied it across everything. It got it to work really quickly for me. So yeah.
I think that especially on that type that you showed there, I would have probably missed that ellipsis, or somebody else would have missed that ellipsis. Like, what does that even do? So I'm glad that you showed that. And I'm also going to give you another little tip here too. If you go to the top ribbon bar, there's a little light bulb there. No, on the very top.
Oh, at the top, the learn.
The learn. So if you just click that, and that will take you to this, where you can. There's a lot of learning in here about how kind of things work, and that's great for someone who's just trying to learn this, or trying to do.
This is really great.
Or do something that you haven't done before, didn't know you could do. So and right there, social media.
Boom. I love that there's learning built into all the Adobe software. They've been really good about this for every single software. And the good thing is, if you've used Adobe throughout your career, like I've used Adobe for, I think, 20 years now. It feels like I've been using Adobe for a long time. And I've always understood the features and where they're nested, like layers and locking and stuff. So when you know that one software has those features, then the next one you pick up that's brand new typically has those same features, like layering, locking, animation, timing. All that stuff works very similar to how it works in any app. So this made it a lot easier to pick up and learn Adobe Express really quickly without having to like go and do a whole lot of tutorials. Now, if there's something that I'm stuck on that I can't find where it lives, this how-to section is really helpful, because now you can go look specifically for, like, if you don't know how to lock a layer in Express, it could be a little bit different than we're used to. So this is really helpful. Thank you, Michael. Yeah.
Well, don't feel bad about using Adobe, saying that you've used Adobe products for 20 years, because I've used them for 30 years.
Whoa, Michael, this is crazy. That's right. Insane.
Oh my gosh. I have a little spots to prove it.
The spots in your eyes, in your eyes from the burning in the screen. Prove it.
I earned all these wrinkles in my forehead. So, all right. So with that said, all right. So we're talking about storytelling across formats. But let's get into kind of the tools of visual storytelling. You know, when it comes to it, it's color psychology, photos, illustrations, icons. They all kind of help build a visual story, right? Wayfinding. I went to the Arizona Cardinals football game yesterday, and they have actually really great wayfinding there, and it could be it can be very daunting. There's a lot of people around, and especially like if you went there and weren't, if it was nobody there, it would be really easy. But there's a whole bunch of people, and then they block off certain things. So wayfinding is definitely a way, that you can get around. And Macromedia Freehand, Marina's saying. Now that goes way back. I mean, this is all before.
Hi, Marina. I just seen her comments from LinkedIn. It looks like she's joining in. Good to see you.
Aldous PageMaker.
Yeah, the old Aldous PageMaker. Oh my gosh, are you making something different?
I had to. I do an InDesign class, and so we're talking about PageMaker. What InDesign used to be and what it morphed into. Yeah. And so we're talking about different things when you're talking about typography. I mean, that's so important, and a lot of people kind of skip over it. and don't really take it. Not, I won't say they don't take it seriously, but there's a huge time investment in kind of understanding what's good typography and what's not, what's appropriate for a project, what's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
Motion, you can actually be heavy-handed about motion, being
Oh,
too
easily.
fast,
Yep.
too slow, and different things. So
There's a lot of
let's
nuances to motion and typography. Both of them have a lot their own
absolutely.
nuances.
And when you see it done really well, it doesn't look like heavy-handed, and it doesn't look. It looks very seamless.
You
And
almost don't notice it when it's done
that's it.
well. That's the
It
secret.
that is absolutely a secret, and it's like a great design is invisible, right?
Yes,
It's like,
absolutely.
and so when I say that, I'd like to get some examples. Um, and we talked about the great Michael
Ooh,
Stinson before. So I wanted to
yes.
showcase a project that I actually used when I was teaching in California. I was it was a college. It was for juniors and seniors in college that were going to go out into the workforce. And one of the things that I was trying to really really instill in them was when you're showing your portfolio or showing, like, for instance, if I'm hiring for a job, there are certain things that I'm looking for. And so it's kind of, and we talked about invisible. Like, I don't know this person, but I'm looking at their work. And there's a lot of things that I can glean from just looking at your portfolio.
Mm.
And when I'm doing portfolio reviews, I say this too. I know your skill level by what you're showing me. I can
Ooh,
tell that you're either good at typography or you're not. You're good at
yeah.
composition. You're good at creating ideas. You're good at illustration. I can tell what level you're at by what you show me. Okay. So I use this as an example. So Michael made this, branding for an Aikido center in Los Angeles
Where
that
he
he
used to train.
where he used to train. And then you also have kind of like a similar background where you're doing this type of training, correct?
Martial arts for many years, yeah. So when I found out Michael Stinson practiced martial arts, I was like, wait, this is awesome. We both love martial arts and we both love typography. That's like both niche things, so rare to find the combination. Yeah.
Right. And so when you're doing these types of things, a lot of people's assumption is that it's like Enter the Dragon, right? Bruce
Yeah,
Lee,
yeah.
it's over the top, so when
Over
he
the
was
top, really
right,
punchy, bold typography, in your face,
right,
Hollywood
exactly.
style,
Like Cobra
trying
Kai, like
Cobra Kai with the like also with I want to say like an Americanized appropriated take on Chinese
that's it.
calligraphy or kanji, and it's like, okay, there was an era where this stuff was fun, but then it got overused and abused at one point, and so yeah, Michael's take on it much more refined.
Yeah, and so like obviously and I just know this because I know the center. It's like it's all about being centered. It's about like
Mm,
tranquility. It's about using
mm,
this as more of kind of a centering type of motivation for everybody. And it's not like over the top chopping boards, right? So like how do you do this, right? And what does that
mhm,
look like? So you can see here, like, just I can tell like the branding is centered, it's beautiful, it's tranquil, it's perfect for what it is. And then it's set on a very nice background as well. So I
mm.
my point is that when I show this to my students, if you were to show this to me, this shows such a level of creativity and balance, but also presentation. You're thinking about the little things. So when I look at these, which is
Oh wow,
actually these posters are amazing, right?
wow,
Okay, so
yeah,
when I saw this, it's actually a departure from what I just said,
that's
but
true.
it's stunning, but it's balanced,
Hmm.
it's cutting edge. And the one thing that I want that I whenever I talk to the students about this, I go, what is the difference between these three posters? A lot of
Hmm.
people will say the colors. That's obvious, right? But
Hmm.
there's
Yeah.
actually one thing, if you were to look at this a little bit differently, is instead of just taking the three posters and then just changing the colors, there's one subtle thing that he changed in all of these, and it's
Oh,
that pattern in the
the
background.
emblem in the background, the circular
Right,
emblem. And even the photos, that black and white photo that's in the
There
sort
you
of
go.
middle right. So he swapped out your emblem in the background, the photo, and really what he did is he harmonized them all by using the same color palettes between all three, which is very impressive.
That's it. So it's not, again, not heavy-handed. It's
Yeah,
thought out and balanced, but you don't have to change everything for it to be different. It could be the same but different, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
I love that. And it's amazing. Just even the way that
Mm.
Aikido, it still reads even though it's off balance, right? And so when I saw this, it's like taking
Wow.
it to a stationary. Now,
Oh my gosh, this is
the one
gorgeous.
the one thing that I will say, and I think I even told Michael this, I go, I doubt that anybody's going to print this much stationery. That's going to cost a lot. It's actually so you have to be really economical about what you show. But I mean, why not? This is everything that if you had an unlimited budget, what would it look like, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
but this would actually be a pretty penny to get all printed the way this is. But it's again, the skill level is all there. It's gorgeous. It's
yeah,
fantastic. It's an extension of the brand, right? Especially in a print world.
yeah.
But then when I looked at this,
Ooh,
I was looking at the like what would a membership application, and usually people would go very simplistic and
boring and dull.
totally.
Let's just say that if you see a paper form on how to sign up from any gym, any I've been to Taekwondo, I've been to karate, they were very basic. Print on a printer at home, staple it on the corner. So this is friggin' wow.
Yes.
In Michael's
And
mind.
so let me ask you, like, if you were gonna have this membership application in front of you,
Hmm.
what would this say to you about
Hmm.
this Aikido center? I'm asking you.
I would say, not knowing the center, but being able to see this on my first impression or within the first conversations, immediately I would just hold this in my hands and be very impressed because the colors are tranquil and calm. The layout is also, there's graphics elements, but they're not punching me in the face, right? So they're muted, they're balanced, they're harmonized. So I would just go with what I see and what I feel. And what this makes me feel is calm and harmony and centered and balanced, which is really interesting because he didn't center align the text. But a lot of designers think, oh, center align the text to make it feel balanced. No, you don't have to center align text to balance your designs, people. And here's a great example of centered, balanced, harmonized.
Yep.
Wow. Wow.
And the one thing that I would say,
Quality from
Marina,
Marina.
absolutely,
Yes.
but also it's
Yes.
also a level of expertise. So when
Hmm.
I see this not like it's not going to shut down next week and they're going to take my money, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
funny, like Cobra Kai. If you think about that, it's like it was in a strip mall in Reseda. It's like they were going to shut
Yeah.
down anytime, but no, this was a quality. It has also a lot of prestige, and the things that they equate in here to the customer
Ooh.
says like, wow, they think about these things. There's a lot of design decisions that are made here, and it's like it's giving me a feeling,
Oh my gosh.
even before I'm even in here. And
Yeah.
I said, like I said, if someone again, I'm telling my students this. I said, if you show this to me, like I'm thinking to myself, like, are you a 30-year like design veteran? Like I like what?
Yeah.
But no, oh no, I'm in my 20s. That's like I have to have you. Like like your skill level is way above what usually it is at your age. So I
Yeah.
said, like, your presentation is always going to be out there, right?
Hmm.
And then when you see these types of things, like this is thinking outside of, what is a monthly or bi-monthly publication? What is that going to look like?
Mhm.
So just everything here is in the voice of the Aikido Center, and gorgeous. And then even okay, think about this: if someone were to show this in their portfolio, even the way that it's laid out, it's showing me the skill. It's not like just like on the page, or a little bit to the side, like slanted. No, the pages are turning, you can actually see, I get
Yeah.
the gist, I get the feeling from you. And then when you see this, you would think that this is maybe like too far up. I go, this actually tells me a lot. It's like
Mm.
it's how it's presented. It's gorgeous, and I kind of get the feeling I already from seeing the rest of the work that I know that kind of what I'm seeing here. So as someone
Yeah.
who's hiring, and then when I look at it, I'm like, what does merchandising look like? So it all ties together,
Mhm.
right?
Mm.
And this is something that I definitely use as far as teaching as well. I go, this is great. This is a someone a male with a sweatshirt. What do the females look like? What is going to appeal to a female, right? Or anybody in out there. So you're always trying to figure out what your customer and like who you're trying to appeal to. So again, these are gorgeous. I wish that
Yeah.
these were printed. I would and I love the type edge shirts, and I was mad that I never got one. Yeah, I
Oh.
never got one. It's like but yeah,
Yeah.
but these are beautiful. What do you think?
I'm stunned. I'm so excited to see this because I'm currently working with my master from it's called the American Shingi Bagua Institute, very long name, and also their internal martial arts styles. And they have a lot of the same themes of using English language, the Latin letter form, combined with the Chinese calligraphy and simplified pinyin. And something that Michael really did like beautifully is he combined the English and I think Aikido's Japanese, and so the calligraphy would be Japanese style as well, and he's sort of combining these elements in really beautiful ways. And he combined it's cool to see the spreads. If you go back to the the sign up membership application form, I think page 2. Yeah, right here. This really impressed me a lot because the waiver and liability is set in English, but underneath it is the simplified. I'm guessing, again, this is Japanese. And it's not that calligraphic form right there, right? It's the simplified form, which is more block shape. And yet his designs, like the design on the right-hand side, there are calligraphic strokes of the Japanese um, like language, which is absolutely beautiful. So like he's combined 3 different styles of expressing the language and through visual form, and yet it doesn't feel like it's fighting or competing for your attention. It feels harmonized together as one. So this is extremely impressive. In addition to, I'm also impressed by the rules and regulations and the waiver and liability, the simplicity of this page, because a lot of people get those waivers and they just get overwhelmed by all the text and all the density. So the fact that he found a way to put it on one page, the 2 columns, and then the numbers being like hanging in the margin, and creating just a respect for space through the number. So you can just scan through that really easily and nicely. And this, for something that feels heavy, now you feel it's more approachable, and it's like, oh yeah, of course I'll sign like this, because it's usually common sense, but it's just legal things that we've got to sort of sign off on to begin training at a school. So yeah.
Yeah, the painted page with the texture is such a nice touch, and again, it's not heavy-handed,
Well said,
and
Marina.
it's yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's spot on, and so the next thing is like, so like, how do you go about this? You conceptualize, then you create, and it will communicate. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I say all the time is, it's very easy to execute a great idea. So I think that we sometimes, all too often, and I'm guilty of it as well, is getting into the program and then trying to make something and then trying to figure it out, rather
Oh
than
yeah.
kind of thinking about it. And then it's like, I should have just drawn this out first. I should have, done these things beforehand. I would have saved myself a lot of times, but sometimes I have to think them out
Yeah.
and actually make those mistakes. And that's how I learn. Um, but sketching, storyboards, thumbnails will actually help you, clarify the structure of how it's supposed to lay out, how it's supposed to, communicate. And just like a sentence, there's a start and then there's an end. So
Yeah.
like if you say things effectively, you're going to communicate a lot better. So tell your story, and if you can retell it in one sentence, it's working. So
Ooh,
yeah.
well said. And I can't tell you how many designers I talk to, including myself. We all jump right into software and just start trying to create our ideas in our head from the software. But what happens is you get wrapped up in the software, the features, the tools, what's not working, what is working, and then you just oftentimes it'll completely change your direction or idea and vision. It won't be your vision anymore; it's software's vision. And this is something I was talking to Stefan Bucher about at our uh, conversation about. That looks like software to me, is what he would say. He would point to something in my portfolio and he's like, that looks like a software decision.
Yeah.
And thankfully there weren't too many, but there were a couple. And I was like, and he's like, you have to do this to fix it. And I was like, and that's a tip that I was like, I showed him, I was like, I was using that to fix it, but my adjustments were slightly off still. So I've got more tweaking to do to go and refine the alignment. So it's not just up to the software for how these things are laid out. And another point you made about storyboarding, I would say my career storyboarding has been and sketching on pen and paper. That has been the number one tool that has helped me throughout my whole career, is like getting away from the computer, writing down the ideas, sketching out roughs, and telling a story panel by panel by panel in just a quick iterative way. And suddenly the message becomes that you're trying to communicate becomes much clearer. So when you go into the software after you've storyboarded, you can actually create the vision that you've put on paper because it's already been roughed out in a way. So the software now can help you get to your vision faster and communicate your message faster.
Yep. That's I have it right here. I use it every single day. In fact,
my sticky notes too.
I even have more right here. So I use them all the time. I think out things. As I reach over here, I have even more. But I use them all the time. In fact, teaching my InDesign class, I actually don't even start in the software. I actually have my students break down, and they make like a little book. Like, what does the cover look like? What is the back cover? What is right? So like, I have to know this before I get into the software. Yeah. So if you just can't do everything in the software. And I just had this conversation with let's just say a very large software company about their marketing. And the biggest thing for me was, because there's a lot of AI, just like hammer, like, oh, AI can do it all for you, blah, 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 blah. And I said, like, I'm trying to make things that don't look like AI, and that's always been my goal. Like back when I was using, Photoshop and Illustrator from, an early age, was like, I don't want it to look like a computer made it. I actually want to make more things more realistic. So that's always been my goal. It's not to make it look like a computer made it. So learning the design, the design basics, and learning kind of structure. You can do that in any program. After you know those things, you can just make stuff. And you did it in Express. You're using your design basics, your design theory. And it doesn't matter what the software is.
Very true. Very good point. Like once you know the principles of design and best practices, then now you can translate those things. And the same goes for typography. The same goes for animation. And when you combine all of those best practices and principles together, now you have a message that can visually capture someone's attention and communicate more clearly. But I'll say this, stress the importance of starting on pen and paper and playing with concepts by hand. And like Michael did too, they're like folding down a piece of paper so that you can conceptualize the front, the back. And then when you open the paper up, you see how one sheet can be divided down, right? And also just gets our brain thinking. It activates different neural pathways that help engage and commit the learning to long-term memory. When we do things in software, we just click a button and it's done for us. There's no commitment to our memory. There's no neural pathways that are followed that lock that thing into our memory. And so sketching and writing and iterating, storyboarding, all of those, activate those many neural pathways that are going to help you conceptualize as a creative in a whole new way. So I would say tinker with getting away from the software, first to explore the idea.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna end on this story real quick. But one of my first I was actually in a design competition. It was at the Phoenix Convention Center,
Oh,
where
nice.
Phoenix
Wow.
Design Week is going to be. This
Oh,
was
there. Wow.
I was literally a senior in high school, and I went there. And the thing that I might have told this story before. Stop me if I have. But
I don't think so. Continue.
the goal was, and I was like, okay, I have all my pens and all the thing. I'm gonna make something cool. And the design challenge was to redesign a cereal box.
Ooh.
And I go, okay.
Yep.
And then I figured out I don't know how a cereal box is laid out. And if you actually disassemble a cereal box, you'll notice that some of the flaps are upside down, some of them are right side up. They actually, the way that everything lays out, it's actually, there's a die line for it. They gave you the die line for it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I was overwhelmed because I never really conceptualized how it was all put together. And I said I failed miserably, but it was actually one of the greatest design challenges I ever had, because it wasn't about winning. It was actually about learning about, like, I'm like, now I look at things way differently. And it actually helped me later in my career when I actually had to make, I had made VHS boxes. So I knew right away how it all worked, and the spines were actually just, thinner. And, just the measurements. So again, you have to look at things the way they are, and then it's like it was another challenge of how do I make all this all cohesive, right? Yeah. So again, I had to conceptualize it, then I had to create it. I couldn't do the create part first, and I wasn't going to communicate if I didn't do the first two. So yeah. So that's my lesson there. So if you want to learn more about this, come to Type Thursday Los Angeles. Tell us more.
Yeah, so we're a monthly meetup every last Thursday of the month, and we're a place for people who love letter forms, people who are curious about learning typography, and any level, we welcome you. And you can audience gifts to participate, have feedback, share your thoughts and ideas with the presenters. So this is an actually different event because there's an interactive component where you as an audience member get to speak up and share your ideas and insights, as well as get to talk to presenters and meet them after the event. So it's networking, refreshments, food at our events as well in LA. So come on, check us out. September 25th. It'll be at the Art Center College of Design, thanks to our sponsor, HMCT.
Awesome. And I've been, we can follow you at Type Thursday LA.
Yes, on Instagram, you'll see Type Thursday LA. And you can follow me at Matheo, Mr. Owl.
Fantastic. Yes. And we will be the same day in Phoenix, in downtown Phoenix at Dialogue, a part of Phoenix Design Week. And yes, we are super excited about that. It's our 4th event ever, and it keeps on getting better and better. Oh my God. Yeah, we had such great energy at all of our events, but this last one particularly, it was so good, and we were inspired. We have 3 great speakers, and Marina is going to be at your, or maybe she's going to be at mine.
Ooh, yay!
I think she's going to be at yours. But yeah, so again, the one thing that
Marina
is definitely portraying this is this community is super supportive. It's we know each other for a long time. So if you're want to get in this community, we're very welcoming, and we need more people. We want typography to be not only passionate but also encourage people to do better typography. And there's so much to learn. I mean, I said I've been in this graphic design for 30 years. I learn something every time I go to these events.
Yeah, absolutely. It's our events level up everybody's knowledge in the room, and we are all about community. So bringing people together and having fun, geeking out over typography and design.
Oh, you don't have to apologize.
Marina, we'll see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're lucky to
Marina,
have you.
woo, we're lucky. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you can find me. This QR code goes right to my LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn, and then I'm at Mondragon Design on Instagram. So, again, thank you so much for joining us. Again, we talk about doing these live streams, and I said we could riff for 30 minutes, and we've almost gone an hour.
Wow. This is a good one. We went into some cool stuff. Yeah. I love this.
So check us out next Monday. We'll have another live stream. If we don't, we'll tell you where you can find us. But we are super passionate about doing this every week and sharing our knowledge. So thank you so much, and happy typography.
Yeah. Happy type. Go have fun typesetting, fam. Hopefully we inspired your designs in some way. And
Love it. Love it.
We'll see you.
See you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.